Greetings, folks. This is Stephen Michael from Sound of the Soul Radio, and I am here with Dr. Nancy Perry in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Today is June 30th, 2017, and it's my pleasure to interview her about her new book that she's just published, and by the title of A Journey to the Door of Death. And Nancy, I'd like to have you talk about why you wrote it and who do you think it might help?
Well, I wrote it because it was an experience I went through that had deep meaning to me. I was in a situation where I was told that I might die at any moment, and I knew that it was true. I am a registered nurse and a clinical psychologist, and I know about these things. So I found myself suddenly in a situation where I was no longer a healthcare provider, but I was a patient, and it was a very uncomfortable situation. And I thought that the book would help a lot of people if they could see what I went through. In addition, the experience of thinking you're going to die at any moment, which I could well have done, was a very spiritual experience. And I wanted to share that with others. I dealt with things such as, is there really God? And who is God? And what is God? And do I believe in God? And I understood many, many things as I went through this that I thought were valuable and would help other people who had gone through things or were going through similar experiences. I thought about things like reincarnation and life after death and the meaning of life and had I achieved everything in my life? What was the meaning of my life? Did I really want to live? How much did I want to live? What would I do if I lived? Some people told me, well, you can write a book about this someday. And I didn't really take it seriously. But I did write the book. I also found intellectually, I diagnosed myself during the whole experience with having PTSD as a result of some of the tests and the major surgery I went through. So I thought this book would be helpful to healthcare providers to help them understand their patients and maybe change some of their behaviors. I thought it would be useful, as I said before, to people who were going through these things or had gone through them. And I thought it would be helpful to families of people who were going through or had gone through these kind of experiences. I thought it might make some people want to survive when maybe they might give up. Because I wanted to inspire people to survive and see that it's worth doing. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I also very much picked up on that philosophy by reading your book. And it did trigger the memory of a movie I've seen in the past called The Doctor, where a surgeon has to suddenly get sick and has to experience the healthcare system that he's a part of. And so I do feel like I understand where you're coming from, and I do think it's going to help a lot of different people in a very broad spectrum of categories, whether you're a provider or whether you're a survivor or whether you are going through it currently. So yes, I did very much pick up on that. And I also noticed towards the end of your book that you kind of provide some solutions to thought patterns that occur. And almost like, you touched on almost like having a life review. So a lot of spiritual traditions believe that when you cross over, you have a life review. And so in many respects, you did it while you were alive instead of when you crossed over. So could you touch on that a little bit?
Yes. I do want to say that I have not fully seen that movie, The Doctors, and I just learned of it after I wrote this book, and I really resonate with it. And I plan to see the entire movie. I think it's similar, probably, to what I experienced. And yes, about the life review, I did do that. And I'm glad I didn't have to wait till I passed over to do it. But I did think of the whole meaning of my life and all the things I've been through. And a lot of those things are in the book.
Can you touch upon the tail end of your book where you go into the myths?
Yes. I do want to explain how I got the myth. I was writing this book and I completed explaining the whole experience. And one night, I woke up in the middle of the night and was getting information. And oftentimes I wake up with great ideas, and if I don't write them down, I forget what they were. And that's a pattern in my life. So I thought, I've got to write this down. It's coming through. So much is coming through. So I got up and stumbled into my office and wrote and wrote and wrote for maybe 3 hours, and went back to bed and went right back to sleep. And the next morning, when I woke up, I thought, I wonder what I wrote. And I went in and I got my notes, and I was surprised. It was a whole model of behavior and why people behave the way they do, and different belief systems. And so I wrote this all down, and it's the model of progressive myths, MYTHS. And a myth is something that can be true or untrue, and we can't know if it's true or untrue. But we all have our own personal myth. And I just want to say it without going into detail. I've tried using this with some of my clients and found it extremely helpful. And other therapists have started using it with some of their clients and find it extremely helpful. And I plan to write my next book to really expand on explaining this. And we all have our myths that have rules and roles, and we have to have a myth that's open to new learnings. And there are functional myths that work and help us be happy and meet our needs, and dysfunctional myths. So I explain all this, and I find it exciting and worthwhile, and I'm using it, and others are using it, and I will continue to as a tool in therapy to help people lead the best lives they can.
Very good. Dr. Nancy Perry, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and I would highly encourage people who are going through similar circumstances to get this book, read it. You'll resonate with it most likely, And I'm going to put a link to your book on this video. So, and of course, you have a website. Could you tell us what your website is?
Dr. Nancy Perry, author, all lowercase.com.
Great. Thank you so much, and please have a great evening, okay?
Thank you.